What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we're taking a look at the Toronto Maple Leafs soon-to-be unrestricted free agent goalie, Jack Campbell. He's been a really good goalie here for the Leafs. A pretty good move there by Kyle Dubas, a guy that takes a lot of hits and critiques. He did a really nice job bringing in Jack Campbell from the Los Angeles Kings. But unfortunately, he's going to hit the open market, more than likely. He priced himself out of Toronto, which means he will be hitting the unrestricted free agency market. So, of course, the Devils are one of the teams rumored to be in on the starting goalie. So we will go over that today. So the report from The Athletic is Jack Campbell has been connected to the New Jersey Devils. Pretty vague, but definitely makes sense. You're looking at Jack Campbell, who's been with the Maple Leafs, really, even in his days in LA, he started to resurge. If you look at the story of Jack Campbell in general, it's a very, it's kind of a whirlwind story for a guy that, was a first-round draft pick goaltender from the United States, got drafted. You guys could do the research on this, and I've made a video about Jack Campbell. Got drafted by the Dallas Stars in the first round. Was supposed to be like Carey Price and, goalies we look at today like Wallstead and Askarov and Kosa. Jack Campbell was in that category back in the day. And he went to Dallas and, was one of the worst busts in NHL history. Now, you could argue that Dallas was part of the reason for that. You look at the goalies they botched. Antti Niemi, Jack Campbell, Kari Lehtinen, you should have known from his name, but that's besides the point. And Jack Campbell ended up going to LA, got his second start, played well in the American Hockey League with the LA Kings affiliate, worked his way back up to the NHL, played pretty well, and again, ended up in Toronto where he is today. But now the next chapter of Jack Campbell will be beginning, as Jack Campbell is a fairly older goaltender, but this is a huge summer for him. He is finally going to get paid the money of a starting goaltender, which is honestly kudos to him, like really good stuff. And at 30 years old, he will finally get his big ticket. This is his big contract. So Jack Campbell, at 30 years old, is set to hit the market this summer. And the question and the mentality you have to have with Campbell is, what is his mindset? Does he want to play closer to home? Does he want to make the bag? Or does he want the security of getting a longer term contract? And of course, the last factor is his compete level. And I'm sure it's very high, but you get what I'm saying here. Is he going to take the bag? Or is he going to go somewhere where, say maybe he takes a little less money, but he's going to be on a competitive team that can win next season and potentially win the Stanley Cup. So that's where Jack Campbell kind of has to lie here. He's got to lie somewhere in that mix. Ideally, you get both, right? He signs in Colorado, $10 million per year. That sounds great on paper. It's not realistic, though. So when you look at the situation, I think Jack Campbell is going to have some kind of situation where he's going to have to figure that out. And the fact he's being tied to teams like the New Jersey Devils does make you wonder, maybe he's going for the bag this summer. And listen, you're not going to hear any critiques from me on this one. I do critique guy, kind of half jokingly. Oh, here he goes, he's going for the bag. I can't blame him because 95% of you out there, come on, let's be honest, 99.8% of you out there, I'll leave 0.2% of you out there that wouldn't take the bag. That's kind of the situation with Campbell. He's probably going to go for the bag, which does lead me to teams that have cap space and a void of a starting goalie. Now, obviously, there's the bottom of the barrel, and I hate to put these teams out here, but you have to consider Arizona, Buffalo, and Ottawa. All right, we got that out of the way. Those are the teams with the most cap space for a reason, because they can't keep talent and they can't bring in talent in free agency. I'm just telling you how it is. Whether that's right or not, that's up for you to decide, but that is the truth. There's a reason those three teams are where they are, but again, Jack Campbell, if he does want to play there, they will probably be connected to talking to him and his agent. So we got those out of the way. Then comes the teams that are going to have money this year, but they might not be competitive, right? There's always that little lingering, all right, well, they have some money, but they might not be that good. Now, this is where things get interesting. That's where I get to the New Jersey Devils. Kind of fittingly in the same area, the Philadelphia Flyers, right? It's kind of like, well, they're on the Devils, at least their trajectory is up. And I have to do a video on the Devils because this is we say it every year about the Devils, right? Oh, they bring in PK Subban. Oh, they bring in Nico Hischier. Oh, they bring in Alexander Holtz. Oh, they bring in Jack Hughes. Oh, they bring in Dougie Hamilton. And they can't do anything. Nothing sticks for the Devils. So to say Jack Campbell comes in and they get the second overall pick, Slavkovsky, and everything's perfect, they need other things to go in their favor. And I do see teams falling out of the cup window in their division, specifically the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. That's potentially 2 playoff spots in the Metro that could be available and could be had next year. Now, again, things do, it's not necessarily an easy path because you could argue that there's 3 teams in the Eastern Conference that will get better next year. The Ottawa Senators might be in the mix. I'm not really counting them. Buffalo, I think they're kind of working their way up, but still, I'm really looking at the Detroit Red Wings, the New York Islanders, and the New Jersey Devils. Those 3 teams, I think, are going to get a lot better next season. So the Devils, there is an opening window for them to jump back into the playoffs. And never count out Columbus. Shout out to the Blue Jackets. So those 4 teams in the East could be vying for one or two of those spots in the Metro wildcard positioning, right? So if the Devils do get a competent goaltender that's healthy, again, not a shot against Blackwood, but that was the problem with Mackenzie Blackwood. He was injured a lot. And if Blackwood is healthy and stuff and goes off somewhere, great. But I do think the Devils are going in a different direction for goaltending, and bringing in Jack Campbell would definitely fill that void for them. And this is a really good placeholder for Nico Daws. I think that's the other argument you can make here. Do you want to sign Jack Campbell to a 5-6 year deal? It takes him until he's 35, 36. And now you might have a problem in, say, 2 or 3 years when Nico Daws wants to be a starter and is ready to go. That's where I think there's going to be a little discrepancy. Depending on how long Campbell wants his contract to be and what's available, if somebody's giving him a 6-year deal, he's probably going to want a 6-year deal. So for the Devils side of things, you want to think about winning now because you're desperate. You need to make the playoffs here. So bring in Jack Campbell. But you also have to look at on the back end of that deal. You're kind of seeing that right now in Florida, right? They want to make Spencer Knight the starter. They're trying to drive out Bobrovsky, but they can't get rid of him. And I see sort of a potential situation where Nico Daws has that in the next 2 to 3 years when he gets out off his entry-level deal and is ready to get a bridge contract, inevitably to become the starter in New Jersey. But again, that's all ifs, ands, or buts. So maybe they decide, listen, we're going with Jack Campbell. If Nico Daws develops into a starting goalie, great. We'll worry about that then. That sounds like a later problem. And again, that could come back to backfire on the Devils, but we'll see what happens, right? I do see reason to believe that the Devils will be in on Jack Campbell. I think there's a lot of good goalies in this year's free agency class. I mean, it seems like every year there is. You look at Jack Campbell. Ville Husso, I'm a little on the fence about. I just made a video about him. So Jack Campbell, Ville Husso. Don't forget Darcy Kemper in Colorado. He's going to be a UFA this summer. I think he's priced himself out of Colorado, so that's another name that should definitely be in the mix. So it's going to be another goalie carousel year. No real shocking news there. But I think Jack Campbell, in terms of his next deal, don't quote me on this, I'm saying max he gets 6 over 6, and I think that's a lot. 6 over 6. He might take 5 over 6, maybe a 5-year deal for $6 million. 5 over 5. I think that's as low as it gets. So it's going to be as low as 5 over 5. 5 years, $25 million over that deal. $5 million per season. Or you're looking at 6 over 6 as the high. It's going to be somewhere in between that mix. But we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Where do you think Jack Campbell ends up this summer? And for how much money? How long? Let me know. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.